Hello, welcome. You're watching Scattered Eye Guy. Welcome back. It's been a while since I put a video up. Gonna talk about a few things today, just a few little hobby updates, a little update on the Old World calculator, and then the main thing I want to talk about today is a bit of a post-event review of the Foray event at the TSN Arena that I attended recently. Yeah, just to kick off, thought I'd show a few cool little photos just of what I've been getting up to hobby-wise. So since Old World launched, year and a half or coming up to 2 years ago now, I guess, I've been really working to get an army on the table, get it fully painted. I really wanted to get to the point that I could maybe do some, real competitive play. So I've been working through the Bretonian launch box. I'd before Old World, I'd sold all my old Warhammer Fantasy stuff a few years ago, and kind of been out of the hobby for quite a while. So yeah, I've been working through the Bretonians box, and actually finally in the last week finished painting the last unit. I've also added a couple of characters to that, so I've reached a point that I do have about a 2,000 point army that I can field now, and it's something I think often you see, just like a week after launch, people showing all these gorgeously painted armies, and it can feel a bit tough really when you're still working through that. But for some of us it takes a bit longer. We don't all have the time. We don't always necessarily paint super speedy. But yeah, so I'm feeling quite proud of what I've got. So there's a few photos here of my Bretonians. Painted them. I basically took the cover from the Lords of the Lance novel. I think the cover art for that was absolutely stunning. So went for that kind of color scheme. Lots and lots of the little unicorn transfers on all of these models. So yeah, there you go. There is my Bretonian army all painted up for the table, and there's a lot of them assembled. So yeah, that's the little bit of a hobby update. Moving on now, just to give you a really quick update on the Old World Calculator. If you've not watched any of my previous videos, oldworldcalculator.com. It's a free tool, which it's just a website you can go to, and you can what you do is you stick details in for 2 units, and it will give you a result of it gives you the probabilities of the various different results of a combat between those units. So for example here, it's just got the default settings, so these are two completely equal, completely balanced units. So funnily enough, it's pretty much 50-50 which way the result will go, but you can put in details for more or less any unit. I've been slowly working through getting all the special rules updated, so about 95% of the universal special rules are now supported. I've just got a couple more that I still need to work in, but for most sort of typical rank and file units, they're in there. And the really big update is that it's taken me a bit longer than I'd hoped, but I can now share that it has been updated for the 1.5.1 FAQ. So some really big changes came in with that FAQ, mostly around how infantry works. So we get the massed infantry rule, which gives big blocks of infantry extra combat res if they outnumber their opponent. Got the parry rule, so if you're fighting with hand weapon and shield, you get extra armor save, and also just the way that combats are calculated who can fight. So there's now a rule where for infantry, if they haven't charged this turn, they get an extra rank to fight with. It's called Press of Battle, so that's in there. There's also a few other little changes that I think were designed to combat the line hammer concept. So we don't, if you have a really long unit, you don't just get to fight back with all of them in the fighting rank. They have to be within their movement characteristics. So you can still have a wide unit, you still get extra attacks for a wide unit, but if you take it all that way to like the really silly end of line hammer, they've put some rules in to fix that now. So all of that required quite a big, quite a complicated rework of the way the combat calculation worked, which is why it took me quite a while. But really pleased to announce that that is now done. That is out. So you can use the calculator again to accurately calculate combats within the current rules. The other big update here is that chariots are now supported. So if we look, you can now select chariots from the drop down, and it now works properly. So you can put in your crew, how many crew, what the the beasts are that are pulling the chariot, and then profile for the chariot itself as well. So chariots now supported. Yeah, a few other special rules are still to come, but yeah, that's a big update to the calculator. So yeah, that's just the sort of the small updates I wanted to go through, and then moving on to the review of the TSN Foray event. So yeah, we're headed up to the TSN Arena in Nottingham. I went up with 3 of my friends, a bunch of us based in Reading, who were all playing Old World together. So we all thought it'd be fun to head up to the TSN and play a cool little Foray event. So Foray, if you're not familiar with it, is a 500 point format that's been put together by Square-based. So Rob and Val, Square-based, and Rob's running these events at the TSN Arena. So if you've watched a Square-based show, which you probably have, then you'll know that Rob from Square-based runs the TSN, which is this this dedicated gaming venue in Nottingham, and they put this pack together, run these 500 point events. I did a video a few months ago when I started looking at list building for the event. I'll show you my list that I used in a minute. But yeah, really good fun event. There were 22 players, so it was a sold out event, but I think a couple of people didn't turn up in the end. But 22 players, really good fun. I thought I'd just talk through my day. So my friend James and we got up to Nottingham about 9 a.m. Needed somewhere to grab some breakfast. This place, Yoke, is literally 2 minutes from the venue, and came recommended on the TSN website. So we went and checked that out. Had an absolutely cracking breakfast, like eggs and things like that. Really nice. So that was good fun. Then head around the corner to the venue. Don't let first appearances kind of deceive you. From the outside, doesn't look like that much maybe, but actually when you get in there, it's a really great space. It's not the super polished experience you get when you go to, say, Warhammer World, but it's it's an old building. It's a bit higgledy piggledy, but it's really well set up for the event. So Rob's got 12 tables in there, all full size 6x4 foot tables. Every table's got gaming mats, scenery, all out ready on it before you start. Just some really good thoughts got into the space. So like tables are all really nice heights, really comfortable. He's got really good comfortable chairs, so you can actually sit while you play. You're not just stood all day. He provides free drinks, so that's tea, coffee, cans of soda pop, even beers, things like that throughout the day. So really commensurate host, and he really works really hard, and I think it's really important to him personally that everyone who comes just has a really good time, has lots of fun, because this is a game. We're playing a game and we're doing it because we enjoy it and having fun. So yeah, absolute shout out to Rob just for the experience of the coming to TSN, participating. I've never played this kind of competitive event before, and it was just really friendly, really relaxed, really comfortable environment, and he's doing an absolute great job. So can absolutely recommend getting down to TSN if that's something that you're interested in. And I think he's just put his events up for the next, or is just about to put his events up for the next sort of 6 months or so. Well worth having a look. Yeah, so Foray. Thought I'd maybe start by just talking through my list. You might have seen a few months ago I put a video up where I was starting to look at the list. I also, with the guys from Reading, we ran like our own little dummy Foray tournament about a month ago to sort of try things out and see like how we. One of the things I was quite worried about is like could I play a game in the time? So you each round is 90 minutes. It's only 500 points, so that's it feels probably quite generous compared to say playing 2,000 points in 3 hours. But it's still it's for someone who's not got loads of experience actually playing the game. Yeah, it does feel quite a pace to actually be able to play a game that fast. So really appreciated with the guys from Reading just a few weeks ago having that practice. I trialed a list in that, which was a very conventional list. Block of knights, block of peasants, couple of units of peasant archers. I had a damsel on a unicorn. He was a level 2 wizard, and I got absolutely smashed. I won. I did. We played 3 games. I won 1, lost 2, but lost pretty badly when I lost, and it just felt that list didn't really work. So I went back to that video I did before, the concepts I was exploring that, and just had a bit of a rethink. The big thing that's changed since I did that video was just after I recorded that, the 1.5 FAQs came out and all these big changes to infantry, and they've made infantry a lot better. Infantry got a lot more staying power on the table now, they're a lot more useful. So I sort of applied some of those concepts, but also had a bit of a think through. The other thing I felt from the practice games was what I really struggled with is leadership. I had a damsel who's leadership 7, so not bad, but not terribly high. And I had a couple of instances where just things, sort of chains of things panicking and causing other things to panic, all went a bit wrong. So I really wanted to buff my leadership. And I decided what I really wanted to do was, one of the concepts I talked about in the previous video was that realizing that the outcast wizard is, I'm fairly sure, the only level 3 wizard that is available in the entire game in the Foray format, because you were limited to 125 points on a single character. Certainly, I don't think I saw any other level 3 wizards. There was another Bretonian player, in fact, the guy that won it, brought an Exiles army, and he also had level 3 wizard. He leaned even more heavily into the magic. So I've got a level 3 and a level 1 here. He actually brought level 3 and a level 2, and also fit the level 2 out with Ruby Ring of Ruin. So he's had an extra magic missile, and really went heavy on the magic missiles, which maybe for next time something. I think they certainly played quite well when they went off. So having more options of that probably might have been a good idea. So I have a sergeant at arms who is my general, and the main reason for making my sergeant at arms a general is you'll see what I also have is a really big block of yeoman guard. And yeoman guard, and the general goes into the block of yeoman guard. So as a sergeant at arms, he has warband. The yeoman guard have warband. They also have horde, so they can get an extra rank bonus. So what that gives them, warband means you add you buff the leadership, so you add the rank bonus to the leadership. So you get with this many yeoman guard, I start off with a rank bonus of 3, and because the sergeant at arms also has warband, he gets that. So he goes from leadership 7 to basically starting the game at leadership 10. Obviously, that will get reduced and whittled down as the game goes on, but gives him and gives that block a lot of staying power. They're not too likely to turn tail and flee off the board, which is something I found was a bit of an issue in the practice games I played. I've then got Damsel on a Unicorn, she's just level 1. I could have got her to level 2 within the 125 points limit, but it would have meant making some fairly big compromises elsewhere, so reducing the size of the Yeoman Guard, which would have meant I wouldn't have been able to get as much rank bonus, wouldn't have got the leadership buff. So I decided to keep her level 1. She's got a battle magic, so the idea there is if I'm lucky and I roll Fireball, I'll probably keep that because magic missiles just seem to really work, particularly at this point size. If I don't roll Fireball, I can take Hammer Hand, which is the signature spell, which is quite a punchy assailment spell. And she's got a rule that means she can cast assailment spells even if she's hiding in the back rank of a unit. So I can put her in the back of the Knights of the Realm where she's protected, can't get hit in combat, but she can cast Hammer Hand, which can be quite powerful. And then I have a level 3 wizard, Outcast Wizard to level 3, who's just standard fit out on foot. And I took Demonology. And again, the thinking behind that was really around what spells are really useful. Really wanted to, have some good magic missiles up my sleeves. And with Demonology, you've got the Summoning, which is the signature spell, which is similar to Fireball. It's not quite got the range of Fireball, but in contrast, you get some extra AP for it. So it's kind of trade-offs, but works well. So yeah, I could basically take that every game, and then I had that magical shooting output. And then for units, I took 5 Knights of the Realm. They've got the Exile's Vow, which gives them Veteran and Stubborn, which is quite powerful. Unfortunately, I forgot about the Veteran rule at a really key point in one of the games, which is a big shame. And then Yeoman Guard, so just a great big brick of Yeoman Guard. They've got a standard bearer, but otherwise no command, but the general goes in there every game. So yeah, that was my list, and here's the army all laid out on the table, ready to play. That was just like the day before, getting them all ready. So that was cool. And yeah, so into the event. So my first game, here we go. This is my first game. I played Matt. Matt was playing Warriors of Chaos. He was also clearly a very experienced player. And Warriors were one of those, any army that's like a higher toughness, high armor saves, bit of a challenge. I mean, the Yeoman Guard, they're quite a bit better than the peasants, than like your standard men at arms, but they don't have the punch to deal with that. So I kind of knew going into this game that this was one of the matchups that probably wasn't going to work too well for me. I did manage to last 4 rounds before I was tabled. And I did a bit of damage. I think I got some points out of his unit of Chaos Knights. Magic missiles got off quite well there. So that was good. But yeah, ultimately did lose to Matt. Here's his list. So he had an aspiring champion. He's on foot, who is in the unit of Chaos Warriors, 9 Chaos Warriors, 5 Chaos Knights, and a Dragon Ogre with Shartak. So I think I managed to get like half the points for the Chaos Knights or something like that by the end of the game. So I got a few points, but took a pretty heavy loss. But you know what? I had a really great time doing it. Matt was a really good opponent. Just really great guy. For someone who's so experienced, he was quite tolerant, quite kind of patient and considerate. Yeah, just and actually knowing, kind of being aware before I went into the game that this was going to be a tough matchup. It was one where I kind of felt, okay, I'm not going to win this, but let's see, like, how long can I go? How well can I survive? So actually, I was quite pleased. Got to at least turn 4, which wasn't terrible. My second game was against Anthony. Anthony, completely different experience. Anthony said at that point he played one practice game before the event, and other than that, he hadn't played Old World at all. So he'd turned up to the event, hadn't had any real prior experience or practice playing Old World. He, put his army together specifically for this event. He's not new to the hobby. He'd played other games before, but yeah. So, he was just there to really meet some people, play some games, have a fun time. And we did. We had a really good, fun game. So here we are set up at deployment. He's playing this really cool Night Goblin army, really nicely painted, this kind of really vibrant green and then like all kind of purple cloaks. Had some spiders you can see over the back there, which was quite cool. And then 3 units of goblins. He had a general. He had 2 wizards in there. So yeah, here was us sort of kicking off. There's his goblins, and then here's us sort of part way through into the game. So yeah, that was a very different experience. I think 2 players, neither is like massively experienced. We did run slightly over time, but fortunately it was into the lunch break, so we were able to do that. Oh, he had a troll at the back there as well. I forgot about the troll. And yeah, I think we both had a really fun game. I think I hope he enjoyed it as much as I did. I certainly thought it was a pretty cool, pretty fun game. So yeah, here's his list. He had a odd git level 1 with illusion, another one with wild magic, and then a goblin big boss, and then 2 units of 10 goblins with spears, 1 with short bows, and 10 spider riders, and then the troll. So quite a unit heavy army. That's something when I played my practice games. That's what I'd gone for. I'd played. I had 4 units, which is quite a lot at 500 points. Whereas you'll see my final list, I've only got 2 units, which was the minimum you had to provide. I think that the challenge is like the bigger units often have a lot of benefits. So in this case, that sort of stayability of the big unit of yeoman guard, and like ballistic skill shooting. So my practice games, I played quite a lot of peasant archers. I had about 20 peasant archers, which feels like a good number of shots, but actually ballistic skill shooting isn't terribly impactful in the game at the minute. So yeah, that kind of MSU type approach, I guess, could work. It didn't in this case for Anthony, but yeah, it was really good fun. He was a really cool opponent. We then headed out for lunch. Rob recommended this place, which was just up the road. It's called Blend, and did some of the most stunning like grilled cheese sandwiches. Seemed to be their main thing. But yeah, really good, really tasty. So enjoyed that. Then came back and I played my next game against Jack. So Jack was playing Skaven. I think this is a relatively late point in it. Well, not actually that late point in the game. Jack was really unlucky. Basically, what happened was I got the first turn. My unit of knights with the damsel in the back charged into one of his big blocks of clan rats, and then they broke and fled the table, and then the other big block of clan rats right next to them failed their panic test, and they also broke and fled the table. So kind of really unlucky really for Jack. Before he'd even really got a chance to play, his 2 great big blocks of infantry were just gone, which is always a bit of a kind of feels bad, but he took it really well, and made for a good fun game. This was the tower scenario, so he's got his rattling gun there, which was a detachment that survived from the clan rats, ended up I think in the up in the tower, and then he's got this warp block engineer, and some sheety guys up here. Yeah, in the end, obviously, with that kind of slightly rough start, we finished the game, and just this one guy was left. So didn't quite manage to table him, but a solid win for the Bretonians again. And you know what? We just had really good fun. You know, I think Jack was possibly my favourite player that I played against. He was just a really cool guy, and we had a great laugh and a great time. You know, same with everyone, but yeah, really enjoyed that playing with Jack there. I can just show you his list very quickly. So he had, yeah, Warlock Engineer with a Warlock Musket, and then he had a Chieftain who I think must have been in one of those units of Clan Rats. Two great big units of Clan Rats, both with the weapons team with the rattling guns as detachments. And then three Warplock Jeziels, which were the guys with like the long looking rifles on the hill. So yeah, probably would have been a very different game if I hadn't taken those two great big blocks of Clan Rats out so effectively. You know, I think I got pretty lucky with that quite early on in the game. But yeah. My final game then was against Andy. He's actually this is Andy Ransom runs the Andy D6 channel, or is it Andy 2D6, something like that. I'll put a link in the description. He's actually put a post-event review up where he's done like a step-by-step review of all his games, done like battle reports and all his games. So game 4, you can see how this game went, and yeah, he's got a video up about that, which is quite cool. You can see us here at deployment. Basically, what happened was, I think, I can't remember if it's a gyrocopter or the Thane. He had the sort of refiable Thane type character, so like with the really powerful multi-wounding handgun, and it did enough damage to my unit of knights, including the damsel, in round 1, and he went first, that they had to take a panic test, and then they fled immediately straight off the table before. So it's a bit of a reverse of that situation with Jack in the last game. I just got hit, you know, before I'd had a chance to play, unfortunately. Really unfortunately, I forgot at that critical moment that they had the veterans rule. So actually probably could have re-rolled, and hopefully would have had a reasonable chance of, you know, not guaranteed, but maybe would have not fled. In fact, they didn't flee, they fell back in good order, but because they're right on the table edge, they were just gone. So that was a pretty hard-hitting start to the game. Andy was a real gentleman. He actually offered, he said, like, do you want to reset? Do you want to start again? But, you know, I kind of feel it's a tournament environment. What happens, happens. Let's play it out. You know, sometimes it's interesting when you're down like that kind of challenge of, well, what can I still make from this? Overall, the answer was I couldn't make anything from this, as you'll see, but it was fun to have a good go, you know, and we did go, you know, a good I think 4 rounds before, or possibly all 5 rounds before he managed to get rid of the Outcast Wizard and the block of Yeoman Guards. So, you know, still had a good time. Magic missiles worked quite well for me. I did take out the whole back rank of this unit of Dwarf Warriors, so that played quite well. Love this character. He's actually hand green stuffed the bum on this Doomseeker, which is quite funny, and he started the game by mooning me with his Doomseeker. Here you go, you can see sort of into turn 1 or 2, and you can see obviously that big block of knights gone, and then ended up getting completely surrounded. Sorry, the image is sort of rotated here. Let's see if I can flip it around. Here we go. Yeah, so ended up getting like completely surrounded. So unit of rangers on the hill, a gyrocopter behind, and the Thane over here with the handgun, all just sort of shooting. And then every time I'd lose combat, I'd give ground or fall back, and then he wouldn't follow up, so that then he could get some more shooting at me, and then I'd have to close again to get back into combat. And then the outcast wizard basically just got sort of chased around the board whilst fireballing this unit, trying to get some more out of the unit of dwarf warriors, but getting chased around the board by the gyrocopter, and eventually caught up, and that was the end of it. So yeah, and end of the game, got tabled there. But all in all, I went 2 for 2 in the tournament as a whole, which I was quite pleased with. I went into this saying to myself, like, actually, I've not played a huge number of games before. My first competitive event, and I said, if I could go 2-2, I would be really pleased with that. So, and I did. So really happy. I did, at the end of the tournament, I ranked 15th out of 21. You can see I'm kind of at the bottom of the players that went 2-2, mainly because when I lost hard. I got, I got tabled quite badly, which I think pushed me down the rankings a little bit. But, I'm really happy with that, and I had a really good fun day. Yeah, a few other cool little things I thought I'd just call out of this. You can see the other Bretonnian Exiles army, Matt, who won the tournament, so the only player to go 4-0. If you have a quick look at Matt's list, you can see, so he's done level 3 Outcast Wizard with Demonology, and then he's done a level 2 Outcast Wizard, again with Demonology and the Ruby Ring of Ruins. So I didn't play Matt, I didn't see any of his games, but I absolutely imagine that he was basically letting off, or at least attempting to let off, 3 magic missiles a turn there. So summoning from the 2 wizards, and then Fireball from Ruby Ring, on top of any other magic output he's got. And that kind of listed what were, a lot of players didn't bring a lot of magic, so there wasn't a lot of counterplay into your magic, which the main issue I had was just actually with the 1.5 updates and the way they've tweaked wizards a little bit, even with a level 3 wizard, like, spells are only going off, maybe half to 2/3 of the time, even when your opponent's not really dispelling them. So that was the sort of the main obstacle, and I did just have some rubbish rolls as well. So, but yeah, I can see that this would be really powerful. And then otherwise, 6 mounted yeomen. So nice cheap cavalry option there. They've got short bows, and I think these guys have got like reserve moves, so they're quite nice for like nipping out behind a piece of terrain, getting some shots off, and then jumping back before your your opponent can shoot back. 11 peasant bowmen skirmishing, and then the knights as well. So yeah, that was quite a cool list. A couple of other interesting lists. Really like this one from Robert Moat. I think Robert, where did he place? He placed 4th in the end, but did quite well with this. And what you can see, you got Night Goblin Big Boss, Night Goblin Big Boss. So he's not going in with magic, but 2 big blocks of Night Goblins, both of which with Fanatics. And then a Squig Hopper mob and a Mangler Squig. So I really like the sort of the thematicness of this as a Night Goblin list. I haven't got a photo actually, but they were painted absolutely stunningly. They look really good, and they just have this sort of chaotic effect of all these like random moving things. So with the Squigs and the Fanatics, I think if I'd faced them, I probably wouldn't have coped with much. The other really interesting list was Ian's list here. A lot of the guys were talking about this beforehand. So this is very much an ethereal list. So he's got 2 Cairn Wraiths, which are ethereal, and he's got a block of Spirit Host, which are ethereal. So overall, about 50% of the points in his army, for a lot of players, if he didn't come with magical attacks, would have been quite hard to take. I didn't get to play in. I thought actually, I know some of the other guys were playing were like, oh, I don't know how I deal with that. I haven't got any way of dealing with that. I I felt my army probably would have done quite well against this because I had the damsel who, when she goes into the unit of knights, gives the whole unit magical attacks. So I would have had a good number of magical attacks. Obviously, I would have had magic missiles, etc. And then whilst the yeoman wouldn't have been able to do a lot against the ethereal units, uh, what they could do just by virtue of being such a big block and bringing so much static combat res is that hopefully they would have just been able to wear them down through the rules there, where when they'd still win a combat, and then the undead have got, I can't remember what it's called, but they've got the rule where they basically take wounds based upon how much they're losing the combat by. So could have been could have been a really interesting matchup. I think as much as like everyone was maybe a bit worried about this when the list came out, ultimately I think Ian came he came 17th, so he drew 1-1 and lost 2. So it wasn't as big a problem maybe as it looked, but it was a cool idea, and I think this 500 point format's really interesting for that. I found it when I did the previous video that 500 points, particularly with the extra rules that are part of the Foray pack, make for some really interesting list writing decisions. You think restrictions on lists would sort of feel like they narrow your options, but if anything, it's an interesting, it adds a dynamic because it adds a challenge. With those restrictions, you've now got to work out with what you've got in your army, how do you make this work within these restrictions. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. um Obviously very different in terms of like meta. I know Bretonians early on were like one of the big bads in the meta, particularly with the Pegasus Knights, but you can't take any Pegasus Knights in Foray. They don't fit the rules. Nobody played Cathay, so and I don't know. Obviously, like the balloons are the big problem that everyone's talking about at the minute, but certainly at 500 points, uh, it that's going to be less of a thing. Like I don't know if you can work those into a list at 500 points, but even if you can, probably not as devastating as they are when we're seeing these big 2,000 point balloon lists. So um, yeah, vampire counts obviously did, one vampire counts did try and play to their advantage, but things like the screams and stuff didn't come in. So yeah, interesting, like very different game meta. And I think I do wonder whether a lot of our meta conversations around the game are driven too much by this sort of assumption that 2,000 points is just the standard. Because actually, it's a really interesting challenge, I guess, for GW to try and design a game that works really well and is really scalable. And I think Old World is that, and so, what this shows is, things which are strong at one point's value maybe aren't so strong at another point's value. And so that changes that dynamic. Maybe we shouldn't just play 2,000 points of standard at the time, which is it's great that Rob has kind of recognised that with Foray. And I think he's found that these have been really really well attended, really popular events. He's planning on doing loads of them next year. Yeah, and I'd love to get back. I think I'd love to go back and do a bigger event, do a proper 2,000 point event. But even with that, I'd go back and do a Foray event. And it's not just a begin. There were a lot of relatively newer players there, less experienced players, but also there were some really experienced players who were still there having really good fun at that point size. So yeah, it works really well. It's a really good format. I had an absolutely great time. Really recommend it. So yeah, that was Foray. So hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you found it interesting. I know it's very different to my other videos. Hope to do some more math hammery videos soon. Now we've got the calculator update. There were some really fun things I did with the calculator when I was preparing my list for this. So the way I could trial out different builds, work out is it better to take a bigger unit or to fit them out of a command group, or even things like my yeoman guard have halberds, or they can fight with hand weapon and shield. and just working out like against which types of opponents do I want to use those different weapons and fit outs, what works better, because there's pros and cons to both. So yeah, I might do a little bit of a video soon where we just play with the calculator and I can show you how it can really help you answer some of those questions. But I'll sign off for now. Thanks for watching.